What's going on, college basketball fans? It's your man, Stephen Bardo, coming back at you with another edition of Bardo's Breakdown. Hope you guys had as much fun as I did this past week. I was all over the place. I even had to check my schedule just to go back over it again. It was a lot. Let's see. So start the week out. Rutgers at Indiana. That was a heck of a game. Then did Studio. Then did Xavier Butler on Friday night. Rutgers at Illinois on Saturday. And then I was in the building as number one Purdue goes down to Northwestern. Dave Refson and me were on the ones and twos. Andy Katz joined us. And it was a crazy game. Sellout crowd, very into it. Super Bowl Sunday. It was really good. And I was quite shocked that Northwestern was able to do it. The game had been within the 6 to 8 point range for a lot of the second half. And then it was I wrote myself some notes here. So with 3:55 left in the game, Edey gets a jumper. And Purdue's up 55-47. And at that point, Northwestern cut their lights off. They did a great job defensively down the stretch. They went to some 2-2-1, three-quarter court pressure, which forced a couple turnovers. Chase Audeej got a turnover, got a dunk. He had been 1 of 10 previous to that three that he made. So the sequence went at 3:55, Edey hits the jumper, Purdue up 55-47. Then Audeej hits a three. He gets a steal and a dunk. Barnheiser gets 2 free throws in there. Audeej hits a short jumper. Then Audeej hits another three, and the Wildcats were off and running. I thought Boo Buie was outstanding. He had 26 points. He was the only offense for Northwestern for about 30 minutes of that game. He was outstanding. Audeej ended up with 15 points. Edey was tough. 24 points, 8 rebounds, but he had 6 turnovers. And a couple of them were critical down the stretch. Now, I will say the rule of verticality seemed to go out of the window when they were trapping Edey. They trapped him hard in the second half to the point where they came so hard that he couldn't even pass, and they got him leaning back, and they were able to rip it from behind him a couple times. It was, they didn't get called for it. I've seen it called a lot, but they didn't get called for it, and they took advantage of it to Northwestern's credit. They were the aggressor. They forced some turnovers, and then Audeej and Buie took over down the stretch for an unlikely upset of number one Purdue. So Northwestern Wildcats, number 2 in the Big Ten right now. And let me run. I'll verbalize this really quickly. Purdue is 1 at 12-3. Northwestern, Indiana are at second at 9-5. Illinois' sole possession of third at 8-5. Michigan State, Iowa, Rutgers, Maryland, Michigan are all in fourth place at 8-6. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 teams behind, a half game behind Illinois. And then Indiana and Northwestern squarely in second place at 9-5. 2 games behind Purdue. So other games over the weekend that I was, pretty interested in. Indiana shuts Michigan's lights off, similar to what Northwestern did at Purdue. Indiana does this on the road, comes away with a 62-61 victory. Trace Jackson Davis, I believe he set a Big Ten record. He was named Big Ten Player of the Week. This is his 4th or 5th straight Big Ten Player of the Week. I believe that's a record. So he's playing like the best player in the Big Ten. And I know Edey is in there, but right now, in the last 5 weeks, Trace Jackson Davis has been that dude. 28-11. Hood-Schifino was really good with 21 points, had 6 turnovers. You're going to notice that when I show the stats now, I'm going to show those turnovers because those are critical in February. All these games they seem to come down to 2-3 possession ball games. When you have high turnover numbers, that can really hurt you. It didn't hurt Indiana this time. Dickinson had 16, Bufkin had 14, and Howard had 12. But That was a great opportunity for Michigan to get a quad one victory. They stubbed their toe down the stretch, didn't get enough scoring, and it cost them on that one. I had the pleasure of doing Rutgers, Illinois, and Illinois' defense was stifling the last 10 minutes of that game. Rutgers was rolling pretty well. I thought Caleb McConnell took on the challenge of Terrence Shannon and was whipping his tail in the first 25 minutes of the game, and then Shannon kind of broke loose and got a couple threes to drop. But Caleb McConnell was excellent to start the second half, but Rutgers could not find the offense. Illinois' defense was wonderful. I thought Coleman Hawkins may have had one of his best games. 18 points, 8 rebounds. He had 5 turnovers, though. He's got to watch that. Danger and Shannon had 15 points each. Danger continues to be his efficient self on the offensive end with 15 points. Really took it to Cliff Omori. Omori had 14, but he was in foul trouble for much of the afternoon. So Danger was outstanding. Terrence Shannon kind of caught fire late. I was impressed with Terrence Shannon. He was very frustrated in the first half. He thought he was fouled multiple times, kind of had some poor body language, but he shook that off and had a strong second half. But Coleman Hawkins was the man and hit 1 3, but he was 1 of 5 from 3. But he did a lot of other things, played with great emotion and energy, and his team felt fed off of it. Ty Rodgers was outstanding once again on the glass. I believe he had 6 or 7 rebounds. He played really good defense and helped his teammates initiate a fast break a couple times. His intangibles are becoming more and more counted on for the Illini. That's an impressive victory over the number 24 team in the country. Illini win 69-60. All right. So the games to watch this week. Tomorrow, Illinois goes to Penn State. Can they avenge an earlier loss when the Nittany Lions came into Champaign and really handled them 74-59, lit them up from the three-point line? The Illini looked a step slow in that game. We'll see if they have the energy to match Penn State's three-point attack. There will be a ton of three-point shots taken in this game. Penn State leads the league in 3 points taken and 3 points made. The Illini are second in 3 points shot taken. So you'll see a lot of threes, and it'll be interesting to see if Illinois can utilize their size advantage in this matchup because they were not able to in the first matchup. Jalen Pickett, as Bruce Weber affectionately calls it, booty ball. He played some booty ball in Illinois' guards and really hurt them in the paint area. We'll see what kind of adjustments those teams make. On Wednesday, Wednesday. I got it right. Indiana at Northwestern also tomorrow. That's going to be a great game because Northwestern won that previous matchup in Assembly Hall in Indiana. I was on that call. Boo Booey and Chase Aldees went crazy, and it was 83-81, but Northwestern had control of that game for majority of it. Indiana was not playing nearly as well as they are now. Northwestern's playing well, but this Trace Jackson Davis he's a different animal right now. And I know that Northwestern traps hard on post-ups. They don't try to hide it. They go hard on the post-ups. We'll see what Indiana does to move Trace Jackson Davis around the post area, the key area, and on the wings. The Hoosiers do a really good job of getting him in space to let him face the defense and see if there's a double coming because he's an excellent passer. He can put it on the deck. He's just really a tough guard, and it'll be interesting. I believe they might try Robbie Barron maybe to start. I'd be surprised if they start Nicholson on him because athletically, Trace Jackson Davis might be a little bit too fast and too quick for Nicholson. Maybe not. We'll see. But that's going to be a fantastic game as well. And then Thursday, I'm on the 1s and 2s with Corey Provis, Purdue at Maryland. All of a sudden, that's shaping up to be a heck of a game because now Purdue's looked like 4-game lead before last week looked to be like, okay, Purdue is going to run off with the league championship. They've got losses to Indiana and Northwestern in the last week. So now Purdue going to Maryland to a tough Xfinity Center with Maryland playing well. I believe Maryland's won 5 of their last 6 games. And Maryland gave Purdue problems in Mackey Arena in their first matchup, where the pressure and the changing defenses kind of got to Zach Edey and Braden Smith in particular in that ball game. Maryland had a chance to win. Down the stretch, just couldn't get a couple shots to drop. But their defense put them in position to compete in that one. So that's going to be a fantastic game. That'll be on Big Ten Network Friday. And then Saturday, we have Illinois and Indiana. Nothing needs to be said on that. The Hoosiers dominated the Illini in Champaign when Trace Jackson Davis had 35. I imagine the Illini will guard him differently, seeing the type of damage he did and how much his teammates fed off of him. So that would be fantastic game to tune into on Saturday. Illinois at Indiana, and Michigan State at Michigan is always a good one. Michigan really with their backs to the wall, needing some quad 1 and quad 2 wins in the worst way. They can start on Saturday when they host Michigan State. And then Sunday, Iowa at Northwestern. This Northwestern team getting a lot of teams that come to them. They've got to go to Illinois. They've got to go to Rutgers. But this Iowa team, high-octane offense against a staunch defense. And Iowa won the first matchup between these two rather easily behind their offense. And I can't remember if I think Aldees was slowed in that one or something. He may have been banged up, but Iowa won that one. So the rematch in Northwestern feeling really good about themselves. Yet another huge week for the Northwestern Wildcats as they host Indiana and Iowa at their place this week. So those are the games to watch. Make sure you guys get your tumbler. Flying Illini tumbler's got the Flying Illini logo there. And it's got Bardo's Breakdown podcast there. Environmentally friendly metal straw, dishwasher safe. I got Ting in here today. You guys know what Ting is? That's a grapefruit juice that is popular in Jamaica. Ting, Ting. It's serious. It's not as high sugar content as sodas, so I really like it. But for a Flying Illini tumbler, go to shopcustomizeit.com. That's shop with a K, KUSTOMIZEIT.com for your tumbler. All right. If you want to join the tribe, there's a number on the bottom of the text, 312-847-2739. Again, if you want to join the inner circle, that is Bardo's Breakdown. Ask the people that have joined recently. They dig it. I sent some nice behind the scenes stuff to them, and they get a chance to see some of my game prep, some of the people who I'm around. So it's pretty cool. If you want to be a part of the tribe, text me 312-847-2739, or you can join the email list, StephenBardo.com/college-basketball-newsletter. Again, StephenBardo.com/college-basketball-newsletter. Hope you guys join one of those two. Would love to be able to communicate with you where I don't have to come to the platforms to have one-on-one access to you guys. So for those tribe members that have signed up, thank you very much. I really appreciate you. Let's see. All right, got a few comments here. I didn't know how I was going to look because I came on at a funky time again. That's why we play the game, says Andy Moss. The Wildcats solidly in second place. Maybe the best story of the Big Ten thus far. Donovan Lang over in Singapore. Good to see you, Donovan. Thanks for tuning in. Kevin McDuffie, what's going on, Kevin? Good to see you. Bold prediction, Illinois won't lose another game in the Big Ten regular season. All right, let's put Kevin on the spot here. He says the Illini won't lose another game in the regular season. And I'm going to pull up two different statistical locations so that we can make sure that we have a good look at this, Kevin. So I'm going to KenPom.com, and I'm also going to their schedule, okay? So let's look at Illinois. Tuesday at Penn State, Saturday at Indiana. What a Tuesday, that'll be at home against Minnesota. And then Friday at home against Northwestern. Then they go to Ohio State. They host Michigan, and they end the regular season at Purdue. So Kevin thinks Illinois is not going to lose another game. According to Ken Palm's got Illinois winning at Penn State, losing at Indiana, winning against Minnesota, winning at home against Northwestern, winning away at Ohio State, winning at home against Michigan, and losing away at Purdue. So it projects the Illini to have a 21-10 regular season record with a 12-8 conference record. So, Kevin, I will make sure to mark your comment because we're going to have to come back to that and see how that plays out. But I like the fact that Kevin steps up and makes these predictions. That's pretty good stuff. Let's see. Hawkins was more aggressive. Yes, John Harpool, he was. I don't think he was happy with the way that Meyer was playing, nor Shannon. Shannon was frustrated, kind of let it get to his head. And Caleb McConnell came at him. He took the challenge, and he definitely dominated that matchup in the first half at least. But Coleman Hawkins was excellent. He got his first 3 to go. It seemed to relax him. He has 6 turnovers. He's got to really take better care of the basketball. That's a part that scares me about Coleman a lot of times is, I don't know, he just gets sped up or going too fast. But when he plays within himself, he looks really good. Hey, Dory, good to see you. Coleman finally did what I was screaming at the TV for him to do. He took the shot when he was at the hoop. Yes, he did. And one move in particular, Dory, I was really impressed with. I believe Paul McKay, he switched out on him, and Coleman recognized it, and he just took 2 hard dribbles, got into the lane, elevated on a pull-up jumper, shot it right over the top. He could do that all day. So that was a shot that really impressed me, but you're right on that. Oh, Bo, thank you, Bo. That was a easy game to call, man. Packed house, number 1 team in the country, a really good Northwestern team that I've called 8 of their games already. And I think I've still got 2 more. I've got Iowa this Sunday, and I've got the Northwestern at Rutgers game that closes out the regular season. I may have another one of theirs as well, but what do you do if a girl isn't an Illini fan? How do I break it off? You got to break it off because she's not an Illini fan? Okay, squares, circles, squares. I don't know what to tell you on that one, partner. But I feel your passion for the Illini. I feel it. Northwestern has me a believer after beating Purdue. If you guys remember, I did a game of Northwestern's in the pre-conference slate, and I said this is a tournament team. And I know people chuckle, and they're like, here goes Bardo again. The way that they play defense, they're going to be competitive with most teams. They're not going to get blown out. So one of the games that I did, Ohio State at Northwestern, when Ohio State was playing way better than they are now, they got after Northwestern and won that handily. I believe they were up 19 or 20 in that game and one going away in double figures. But since then, Northwestern has been in almost every game, even the ones that they've lost to Michigan that got away towards the end. They were in those games because of their defense. And so when you can play defense the way that they do, and you got 2 guards like Boo Boo and Chase Audees, you can be a tournament team. And I think Northwestern showed yesterday they are certainly a tournament team. Yeah, Bobby. Thank you, Bobby, for tuning in. I love the crunch time, too, because my dad, Dr. Harold Bardo, made a great point to me before I was fortunate to call Xavier at Butler Friday night. That was a sold-out Hinkle Fieldhouse, and Butler upset 15th ranked Xavier Musketeers. And going into the game, Butler had just come off a win against St. John's, but they weren't really playing well, and they've been hit with the injury bug big time. And Dad said you got to be careful about these games in February because these teams that are lower level in the conference, they start to get better, and they start to come together a little bit. And sometimes those teams that are at the top of the conference have a tougher time sustaining some of those games that maybe they should win. And this was the classic case of that. And Butler came out, punched Xavier in the mouth, and it was a nip and tuck game. Xavier came out in the second half to start the second half with a strong push. And I believe they got the lead a couple times, but Butler was at that point, had gotten their confidence. The crowd was into it. And Butler won down the stretch on a crazy play with Eric Hunter Jr. You Big Ten fans may remember this is Eric Hunter Jr. that was a point guard at Purdue. He's transferred to Butler. He got a pick at half court, ran down, and you also might remember this name, Jack Nunge, who started his basketball career at Iowa. He's now at Xavier. Eric Hunter Jr. dunks at the rim. Nunge goes for the block over the top, and somehow the ball doesn't go. The officials called it goaltending. I'd never seen a play like that before. So it was a wild game. And yes, crunch time in every power conference is a lot of fun. TJD took Illinois apart when they played. Yes, he did. He got anything they wanted because Illinois didn't double team him. I think that's going to change, or at least they'll give him different looks. Squared circle squares. Illinois will crush Indiana. Well, we'll see. If Illinois does win, I don't think it'd be any crushing going on. That venue, like Mackey, like the Rack, they have Iowa a little bit. They have fans who don't need – their fans know when to get up and cheer. Like Brad Underwood sometimes at State Farm Assembly Hall – State Farm Center, he has to get the crowd into it. At Indiana, Purdue, Rutgers, sometimes Iowa, those fans, they don't need – they know when their team needs a boost. They get on their feet. And so Indiana, Simon Scott Assembly Hall, those are some of the most knowledgeable basketball fans in the country. That place is going to be lit. And it's going to be tough for Illinois to come and get the victory, let alone crush them. So I feel your passion, your love, squared circle squares. I wouldn't go there and say Illinois will crush Indiana. I wouldn't be surprised if Illinois won the game, but I think that would be much closer than your description. Oh, wow. Okay. The Chiefs. Congratulations. Man, was that a great Super Bowl or what? My gosh, that's one of the best Super Bowls I've ever seen. Tip my hat to both the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. They put on a show last night. Great game. He said Tang. No, it's Ting. Ting. Not Tang. Ting. I'm drinking Tang too. Astronauts love it. Nope, it's not Tang. I have my tongue. Oh, good, Bo. I'm glad. See, Bo got his tumbler. You guys better get one. They're pretty good, I'm telling you. Ask Bo if you don't believe me. Joe Groves, how impressed were you with the freshmen? They turned the game around. Go Illini. Joe, Jaden Epps has been impressing me since he got inserted into the starting lineup. Sincere Harris hit a big shot. He played really strong defense. Ty Rodgers has been in a nice groove in the last month. So he came off the bench and did well. I was glad to see Luke Goody get some time. And it just so worked out that RJ Melendez was suspended for the game. I don't know why. It was a violation of team rules. Underwood doesn't go into specifics. He tries to protect the guys a little bit in that scenario, which I can appreciate. So it just worked out that Luke Goody was able to get some time where probably RJ Melendez's minutes would have gone. So that was good to see. So the young guys stepped up in the Illini win against Rutgers. They really brought a lot of energy off the bench, and it was desperately needed. West K, we have to beat Indiana. We'll see what happens. Indiana's playing as well as anybody in the Big Ten right now. If I go to the standings, yeah, Northwestern and Indiana have both won 3 in a row. The Spartans have won 2 in a row. And that's it for win streaks. I mean, Illinois has won 1. Iowa's won 1. Maryland has won 1. Nebraska's won 1. Big ups to the Huskers in their overtime victory over Wisconsin. Those guys, man, they got some character on that team. Ken, what's up, Ken? What do you think the Illini are going to do differently against Jalen Pickett? He torched them last game. I think what you'll see is the Illini will put someone bigger on Jalen Pickett. Pickett is not necessarily going to blaze you with his speed. He's more strength, savvy, and get you off balance. So I expect Terrence Shannon Jr. to be guarding him. Someone that size, maybe Ty Rodgers. I don't know that Ty would start the game, but Ty Rodgers is definitely going to get his crack at guarding Jalen Pickett. And so, because if you put someone small on him like Jaden Epps, because Jaden got torched a few times because he's just not strong enough to keep Pickett out of the paint. So Matthew Meyer, Terrence Shannon, Ty Rodgers, RJ Melendez, Luke Goody, all these guys could have a turn at guarding Jalen Pickett. They're just going to, I believe the Illini would try to keep some size on him. Sincere Harris and Jaden Epps are going to have him at times. That's just the way things happen when things switch, because Penn State likes to run a lot of ball screen action to get the mismatch that they'd like. So you're going to see a number of pick and roll ball screen action, and then one-on-one, to where if Jalen likes a matchup and Jaden Epps, Sincere Harris switch on him, he'll try to back him down. The Illini may need to run someone at him. But if the Illini can keep a bigger guy on him, I think that they can contain him a little bit better. Joe said, I hope he's right, but I kind of doubt it. I'm kind of with you, Joe Groves, because this league is it's that's why you got to watch the games, man, because you just don't know what's going to happen. This is the Big Ten, not the SEC. Anybody can beat anyone in our conference. I agree. Illinois won't lose another game all season. National champions, the Illini. Okay, I see you. What's up, Michael? How much tougher does Purdue have to be, and what does Braden Smith need to do to cut down on turnovers? There was some, I don't know if it was controversy, but Northwestern really did a good job of crowding Edey, especially in the second half. And sometimes the rule of verticality, I'm not sure that I don't know that they call it as much in the paint area, but they called it a lot on the perimeter. But if they were to call it in the paint area, there were a couple times yesterday where it's not the rule of verticality, but it's cylinder. That's it. When you see the officials do this, that's a violation of a cylinder call. So they are trying to give the offensive player a little bit of space. Northwestern took away all that yesterday. So I don't think that Edey's going to see as aggressive doubles as he saw against Northwestern the rest of the regular season, unless they face Northwestern again in the Big Ten Conference tournament or something of that nature. But Northwestern did a fantastic job of being physical with him and forced him into some really tough turnovers. Braden Smith, you knew he was going to have days like this. You knew Fletcher Lawyer was going to have days like this. I believe those two were 2 of 14 combined. Let me double check. But Braden's a freshman on the number one team in the country, and he's catching fire. 2 of 13 from the field, and Braden was 7 of 8 from the free throw line. Fletcher Lawyer had 2 points and 2 turnovers. Braden Smith had 3 turnovers. Zach Edey had 6. They had 16 turnovers on the day. So one of the things that Braden Smith can do to cut down on his turnovers, Michael, is to not jump in the air so much. He has a bad habit of jumping in the air to try to figure out what he's going to do on his passes. I know it helps him because he's a smaller guard, so sometimes he gets downhill and he may utilize that jump to increase his vision. But that he got in trouble a couple times yesterday because he got in the air and he didn't have anywhere to go with it, and it ends up being a turnover. So I know that's something that Matt Painter and his staff will continue to try to help Braden Smith work on, but that's one of the things that he could do to cut down his turnovers and just experience, because the young man can ball. He can ball now. He had a rough one yesterday, but that happens. Seniors have rough days. So that happens. But thanks for tuning in, Michael. What's up, Andrew Moody? Uh, um, um, you know what, Andrew? Good question. Asking about the new television deal that ESPN will not be covering Big Ten basketball or football any longer. You know, it's a sign of the times, Andrew, and nothing lasts forever. I know that we get accustomed to seeing things over a 10, 15-year period, but when um, conference realignment, television networks, streaming, all the convergence of all these things take place, you're going to see some changes. And so it's just it's going to take a little getting used to not see the Big Ten Conference covered on ESPN. It would be fascinating to see what Sports Center and the other sports news shows, how they'll approach the Big Ten Conference since they're no longer on their air. It's going to be interesting to see how that works out. But I think it's going to be cool. NBC will, I'm assuming, have the majority of the games that ESPN would have had. Those games will go to NBC, is my understanding. So it's going to be fun to see. It's new frontier, a new day and age for an expanding Big Ten conference. So it's going to be interesting to see, though, Andrew. We'll see what happens. Good to see you, my man. Is Purdue in trouble if they don't get toughness back, and why is Zach turning the ball over so much lately? Purdue's tough enough. Northwestern's a really good team, especially at home. They had it was a sellout crowd in there. It was really high energy level in that building, and the Wildcats fed off of that. They played like a desperate team, and they got the result that they wanted because they just were physical. They were fighting hard. So I don't think that it was Purdue's lack of physicality. I just think that it was a perfect storm, and Northwestern did the things down the stretch to keep the ball out of Edey's hands and to turn over Braden Smith and Fletcher Laurier in very key situations that got them some easy buckets. So I don't think that, they've lost their toughness or anything. They just, Purdue had to go to Indiana and they had to go to Northwestern. Those aren't easy places to get victories. So I think Purdue is going to be fine. Curtis Dietz, Larry Smith is back in his hometown of Alton, Illinois. He's working with some youth groups. I believe he's working with the water company there, but he pours his time into a lot of youth services. So that's what Larry's up to. Thank you, Curtis Dietz, for that. Yes, Hinkle was rocking on Friday night. Ty Rodgers is a beast. That is a pro hyped up DeMonte. I don't care if he doesn't score a lot, which in that respect will get better with time. My comparison is Rodman. Deuces, thanks for tuning in, and thanks for your strong comment there. I've been saying that Ty Rodgers is a jump shot away from being a pro since the beginning of the season. I was told that early on, and I see what my sources were telling me. So I'm in agreement. He's a pro, and he does some things that DeMonte Williams could not do because, one, he doesn't have DeMonte's size, and two, he doesn't have DeMonte's athleticism, or DeMonte didn't have Ty's athleticism. So Ty's 6'6", strong, fast, can jump. DeMonte was strong. He wasn't fast. He could jump a little bit, but he can't jump like Ty Rodgers. Ty's a different, higher level athlete, in my opinion. But good comparison on Rodman in terms of rebounding. Okay. What's up, Thomas Dagley? For Illinois beat Indiana, Coach Underwood needs to switch up defense. Zone. I don't think you'll see Illinois use a lot of zone, Thomas. Good to see you again, my man. They don't particularly play a lot of zone, do the Illini. The only time I've seen them play zone was early in the non-conference when they got in foul trouble. You may see them go to some zone against Indiana, but here's the problem. Miller Kopp, Tamara Bates, Geronimo can shoot the three. Trey Galloway can shoot the three. Indiana can space you really well if you try to go zone. So I just think that they're gonna double team. They'll hard hedge. They'll They'll help strong side. They'll rake ball side. They'll do a lot of different things to change up their defensive schemes against Indiana this time around. But I don't think zone would be one of them, Thomas. Just from seeing them play this season, I don't think you'll see that much. Let's see. I love Epps, Harris, and Rogers. Hope Underwood can keep them at Illinois. They would own the Big Ten if they stay 4 years. I agree. I don't see Ty Rogers staying 4 years. Dory, I don't. I hope it would be great if he did. I don't see it happening. Now, Epps and Harris, yeah, I can see them staying for 4 years, definitely. But Ty Rogers, no. I mean, I hope I'm wrong because I'd love to cover him if they're still hiring me at the networks to cover Big Ten basketball. I'd love to cover him, but what his package and him just being, he just doesn't have confidence in his shot. But once he gets his confidence in his shot, I don't think he'll stick in college too much longer. Hope all is well, but I wanted to ask what's it like to witness a court storming. What's up, Kevin? It's a little crazy. Luckily, we're courtside behind the table, and so we were still on the air, and there'd be some people that were over jubilant that were coming, try to slap hands with us or something. We're telling them, no, we're still on the air. So we really we weren't in any danger or anything, but it was great to see the Northwestern fans jumping around with their classmates. And Dave Refson pointed out that when Northwestern's student section sells out, that's 15% of the student enrollment in the entire school. So think about that for a second. 15% of the student body for Northwestern showed up yesterday, and those guys showed out for them. So it was really cool to kind of see how all that took place in that scenario, but it was fun to see. And I was glad I could be a part of that and call that game. Would you allow Danger to do his free throw from behind the back when he doesn't shoot well from there? I haven't seen someone do as much nonsense from the foul line since Harold Meyer in the early 80s. Well, Curtis, it's he along with oh, I see what you're saying. You know what? I don't know if it's nonsense. It's just rhythm. It's everybody's got a different approach to shooting free throws. And the fact that if he was a 70% free throw shooter, then it would be okay, right? It's just a routine. I wouldn't get so caught up in thinking that maybe it's a negative thing that he goes around his back. Every individual is different. Every basketball player has their own system, their own rituals, their own superstitions. And so I wouldn't get so caught up in that. The way his shot is, he's got good form. It's just that it's got to be something mental. It's got to be. Because his form is like Ty Rogers' form. He kind of needs to really have somebody get him to a place where he can get comfortable and just work like 500 to 1,000 a day. Dane's shot is not bad. His form is okay. But for some reason, he's long or he's short, or I think that's all mental. Let's see. How many games Illinois has been on the Big Ten Network FS1? Why is tomorrow's game on ESPNU? Joe, it's kind of these networks pick the games before the season. Sometimes they change as the season progresses and teams get better or teams fall off, but those are chosen early on. So I don't know the rhyme or reason. That's above my pay grade. So I can't really tell you there. The last 2 games, Danger has been called for 3-second calls in the lane. Edie Pickett and TJD in the lane for a lot longer, banging people down low, not seeing 1 3-second call on them. Donnie Simmons, that's an interesting point because there has been some conversation among Big Ten coaches about that. And again, that's, it just kind of depends on who the referees are that are coming into that particular game. And you guys have to remember, these referees are tired, just like the players. They in my opinion, I think we need more officials because they work like crazy. And I think they do too many games, and they're going in different conferences. So Roger Ayers, who I think is one of the best officials in all of college basketball, was one of the officials on the game yesterday for Purdue at Northwestern. He was at Florida State the night before. So you got to go from Tallahassee to he had to make a stop or two to get in to do the game. And so to me, when you're calling an ACC game and then you jump to a Big Ten less than 24 hours, lead time, you're going to have some inconsistencies in the calls, in my opinion. But there have been some coaches that have said the same thing, Donnie. Good question there. I haven't seen this. Zach has been called for 3 seconds, but for the reason they haven't been called for that is because they use a mental clock. Yeah, I don't know. It does seem a little arbitrary. How many Big Ten dance you see going to the NCAA? Donovan, I think right now Mike DeCourcy has 8 Big Ten teams that are in the bracket right now. Obviously, that's going to change. So if I were to guess, I would say maybe 7 or 8. Solidly 7, probably 8. I don't think we'll get 9, but I do think that solidly 7 teams, probably 8. I don't see 9 though. So between the 7 and 8 team range. Let's go media. What's going on? Hit the thumbs button, the like button, and share this with people you think would enjoy this content. It really helps the growth of the channel. And, I want to just be really good to the people that have come in and joined me here on Bardo's Breakdown. So do me a favor, hit that notification button as well to let you know when I do go live, because now in February and March, I got to go live at different times because my schedule is nuts. It's crazy. Let's see. Deuces ask, any word what Melendez did to break the team rules? No word on that. I don't think Underwood's going to get that information out. Yeah, man. New Mexico State, for those that don't know, they've already had a shooting involving one of New Mexico State's players was found innocent because of self-defense, was the latest I heard. So a player had been involved in a gun exchange on the same team. And then this recent allegations of team hazing forced the New Mexico State president to shut down and suspend the college basketball season on the men's side. So New Mexico State is no longer playing right now. I don't know if they're going to be reinstated. It might be for the rest of the season. We'll have to see. But the New Mexico State president is not playing. So New Mexico State Aggies, no more college basketball on the men's side until further notice this season. Let's see. I think Chris Collins is showing us who the best coach from the Coach K tree is. That's legit, Curtis Dietz. I would maybe say Mike Bray because of Mike Bray's longevity and success he's had, but Chris Collins doing a pretty good job this year, no doubt. John Nelson asks, could Tony Perkins be the most improved player in the Big Ten from the Iowa Hawkeyes? He could certainly be up there, John. He's, especially here of late, he's been playing very, very well. He torched the Illini at home in a big win for them. So it'd be good to see who is going to get that accolade, because he's certainly in the running for that. ESPNU picked up the makeup game on an off night for the Big Ten Network. ESPN had already scheduled. Thank you for that, Donnie. I appreciate that clarification. Let's see. Larry Blackwood, a must-win against Penn State. Can't lose both games against them. I mean, you mean a must-win to stay in the regular season conference race? Is that what you're referring to? Because I think the Illini are solidly in the Big Ten, the NCAA tournament picture. At last I checked, they were a number 6 seed, according to Mike DeCourcy. So it may not look good to lose twice at Penn State, but Penn State's going to be tough at home because they're desperate. Penn State's hovering around that last four in, last four out, next four out. They're in that range, as is Michigan. So these are games that are sort of must-win games for Penn State and Michigan coming down the stretch. So if the Illini aren't ready to play, don't be surprised if Penn State gets them now, because we know that Penn State's capable. I don't know if it's can't lose, but we'll see. All right, looks like that might be it for your comments. Thank you guys, as always, for tuning in. Hold on. Let me clear this out. Let me pull this up here. Oh, you meant Mike Bray. Let's see. What was I trying to pull up? So, guys, thanks for watching Bardo's Breakdown. I really appreciate it. You guys have been great to me. Please sign up if you want to be a part of the tribe. 312-847-2739. Shoot me a text. Or if you want to join the newsletter, go to stephenbardo.com/college-basketball-newsletter. Thanks so much for joining, you guys. Hope you have a great week. It's going to be another great week of Big Ten basketball. Check back in here. I might pop up. I'm definitely going to come with the Flying Illini breakdown tomorrow, previewing that Illinois-Penn State game. Until then, holla, y'all.